Hello everyone, I am Vijaya from Vijayaacademics. Today I'll be going to explain about Holistic Progress Report Card. Let us see what is a Holistic Progress Report Card first. As part of the Transforming Assessment for Students Development of the National Education Policy NEP 2020 recommends preparation of Holistic Progress Card HPC to provide a 360-degree multidimensional report of progress that reflects in detail the progress as well as the uniqueness of each learner in the cognitive, affective, socio-emotional, and psychomotor domains. It will include self-assessment and peer assessment and progress of the child in project-based and inquiry-based learning, quizzes, role plays, group work, portfolios, etc. Along with teachers' assessment, the HPC will form an important link between home and school and will be accompanied by parent teacher meetings in order to actively involve parents in their children's holistic education and development. The progress card would also provide teachers and parents with valuable information on how to support each student in and out of the classroom. The HPC maps the status of each child's learning for foundational literacy and numeracy skills. It gives an overall description of an individual's performance over a period of time, thus enabling teachers to identify the strengths, opportunities, barriers, and skills or qualities that may be developed over a period of time. Teachers need to ensure that assessment at the foundational stage is participatory and inclusive. Self assessment by learners and peer assessment are an integral part along with teacher assessment. Assessment incorporate the parent's feedback. Remember, the focus is to assess the task and not the learner. Features of Holistic Report Card HPC present a picture of students' progress that provides evidence as well as an opportunity to the child to understand his or her growth over years. Help teachers gain a clear and comprehensive picture of children's learning and development so that they can plan appropriately across learning goals and help children achieve all the learning outcomes. Communicate the strengths and the areas of improvement for each child identified with participation and discussion between the teacher, the child, and, where possible, the parent. Provide teacher and the parent with valuable information on how to support each student in and out of the classroom. Help teachers to identify not only the gap but also assist in solving multidimensional issues in schools ranging from child teacher engagement, progress in learning, dropout rate, and barriers to learning. Provide a baseline level for each student in various learning outcomes and competencies before the beginning of each term session. Provide opportunities for the child in consultation with the teacher to set future goals, thus providing direction to both the teacher and the child in terms of future action. Build an important link between home and the school and should be accompanied by a parent teacher meeting in order to actively involve parent in children's holistic education and development. Now let us see the methods and the tools of assessment. HPC proposes the use of integrative pedagogy in order to track students' performance. The two broad methods of assessment that are appropriate at the foundational stage are observation of the child and analyzing evidences gathered as the part of their learning experience. Observation of the child. Children show their understanding by doing, showing, and telling. Observations can help teacher see the child's achievement of different competencies which children exhibit in many possible ways. Observation over a period of time provides the teacher with a comprehensive understanding of the child's learning. Systematic observation for assessment involves the following steps. First is planning. Identify a few children for observation in the classroom. Determine which curricular goal needs to be observed. Make a list of the competencies and learning outcomes to be observed. Determine the methodology and prepare the record sheet to record observations. Gather evidences. Find out a task activity where the selected competencies of learning outcomes can be exhibited by children. Keep recording exact observations as evidence. Reflect and assess. Read the evidence and records to attack the progress of each child over a period of time. Plan and modify teaching pedagogies as required. Anecdotal records. An anecdotal record is an attempt to record in detail a specific episode or event that is of a particular interest or concern. It is an observation and recording of what children say and do while they are engaged in particular activity. Checklist. A checklist is a good is a tool for identifying and recording whether a child has accomplished the listed learning outcomes. A checklist is easy to create and use. A checklist is based on sequential approach to learning, used when many learning outcomes are to be observed. A mix and match approach that combines checklist with another data collection method is preferred. A sample checklist for observation of language and literacy skills, which can be used for an individual child and for a group of children, is placed at annexure. Event frequency sampling. Event sampling allows a combination of anecdotal records and checklist. Each time a targeted event occurs, the teacher may capture as many details as possible from the beginning of the event until the end. Useful when teachers want to redirect children's unacceptable behavior or action. Recording to be in the form of simple table. Details related to the event also to be included. Teachers can do time sampling to assess certain behavior or actions at regular intervals to understand the intensity of the problem. If the teacher wants to observe the aggressive behaviors of a child, she can record every 10 minutes for 2 days during free play time of the same activity. She will get a clear sense of tantrums and conflicts of the child and understand their socio-emotional behavior in a particular situation. Artifacts and artifacts in an early childhood classroom refers to an object created by a child during the teaching learning process. Key points. It provides a rich source of information about a child's strengths and abilities. It is helpful in looking at child's work and seeing how their level of understanding of a particular learning outcome is affected. It could be any sample of work and the child is able to produce. Task-based assessment. HPC helps in competency-based assessment, which is achieved through task-based assessment. One task can help to assess multiple competencies and LOs across all goals. Key points. Develop each learning outcome as determined for a particular grade to understand a child's conceptual learning of the skill as well as application of the skill. For the purpose of reporting, assessment can be done any time in a term. Teachers need not wait for the end of the term. Use information to plan for teaching learning pedagogies. It also helps to modify the ongoing activities to ensure that it meets the needs of all the children. Activities to be done for achieving a competency. The teacher may assess multiple competencies across curriculum goals and domains through one activity. Various activities should be planned wherein a child can have ample opportunity to experience the competencies aimed. This would help to understand a child's deep learning acquisition of the competency as well as its application. The competencies are to be acquired by children with teachers' guidance through activity-based and experiential learning pedagogy. Competencies to be covered in term. Teachers can decide on number of competencies he would like to observe in the month based on number of children in the class. Also, a few competencies can vary among children based on need and progression of the child. Teacher can aim to minimum of one competency for every curriculum goal across domains. Teacher can decide to observe one or two competencies to be assessed every week, month, listening, speaking skill, bonding with books, print awareness, math concepts, problem solving, creativity, peer relationship, etc. Based on the activities, timetable of the class. The competencies are year-long expectations, and so should be observed in a progressive and continuous manner. For example, during a circle time, if child is narrating about his previous day, Sunday, listening to this narration can help one to understand the skills like sequencing. Is the narration of the activities in order? For example, starting from morning, brushing my teeth, having milk, etc. Vocabulary development is a child using actions, sounds, or words to narrate a story. Acquisition of first language or second language. Each child using one language to narrate the incident or combination of two languages. Self-expression, each child able to express themselves using a particular language. Connection with immediate environment. Does the child mention other family members, friends in the story? HPC in practice. HPC reports many unique competencies which are not just academic. It communicates the strengths and the areas of improvement with the participation and the discussion between the teacher, the child, and where possible the parent. An elaborate description of all the sections of the HPC prototype is given below. Section 1, all about me. What is it? It provides a broader understanding of themselves. It includes various personal elements such as their birthday, height, weight, friend's name, place they live, parents' name, their likes and their favorite game, food, color, animal, etc. Key points: be open minded and encourage the students to think of each element in this section. Keep the context of the child in mind and give relevant examples for the students to start thinking about their likes and dislikes. Be inclusive and supportive. Help the child one on one to let go of the spellings as it is not the intention of the tools for assessment. Give freedom to use the language and drawing of their choice for expressing themselves. Talk about varied points given in the sheet to relate various elements meaningfully. Section 2, glimpse of myself and my family. What is it? It gives children an opportunity to play, pay attention to themselves and their immediate surroundings. It helps them to explore and present how they see themselves through drawings or picture. It is a way to promote self-awareness and self-reflection in a child. Key points: glimpse of self and family will help them to see themselves through drawing and picture. Ask children to present themselves and their family using drawing and pasting materials. Give examples to draw family members, for example, grandparents or parents playing together with children or eating together. Make them think about what all the elements that make us look a certain way. For example, eyes, hair, face, nose, lips, body type, etc. Encourage children to be as creative as possible. Make the children understand themselves and be aware of their presence in the environment. Section 3, competencies. What is it? The section documents assessment of various competencies arrived by the teacher through the use of different assessment tools to track the progress of the child against competency that is defined for specific curricular goals. The curricular goals for the foundational stage have been derived by giving consideration to following domains: physical development, socio-emotional and ethical development, cognitive development, language and literacy development, aesthetic and the cultural development, positive learning habits. As the curricular goals are developmental, so are the competencies and learning outcomes. All the learning outcomes have a developmental trajectory across every age group through the foundational stage. As learning between ages 3 to 8 is developmental, it happens at a various pace for different children. All children will not achieve the same age-wise learning outcomes at the same time. Each learning outcome is observable and the learning outcomes need to be read as cumulative. 2. The child's learning of the previous age group continues to be observed in the later stages. For example, if the learning outcome for the age group 4 to 5 is eats without spilling, This is assumed to continue for the age group 5 to 6 onwards. The competencies are to be interpreted with the following levels of attainment. Beginner tries to achieve the competency and associated learning outcomes with a lot of support from teachers. Progressive achieves the competency and associated learning outcomes with occasional some support from teachers. Proficient achieves the competency and associated learning outcomes on his or her own. The level of attainment can be depicted by using neutral icons such as flower, tree, simile, smiley, etc. Points to be considered for teachers. Focus on and observe one or two competencies per week. Competencies can be picked based on the activities and timetable of the class. Keep a record of the number of the children making progress for the competencies being assessed. Keep a record of those children who require further support with reason for the competencies being assessed. Include a narrative on what parental support is needed in a specific domain and how the child will be supported at the beginner level. Once a teacher sees improvement in the attainment of the competencies, he can decide to move on to the next learning outcome. Ensure that the level of attainment is well explained and understood. Section 4. Learner's profile by the teacher. What is it? This narrative summary is a descriptive of the child's learning. It gives qualitative information about the child's progress based on interpretation of multiple sources of information, anecdotal record, event samples, checklist, portfolios, worksheets. It helps parents and other teachers to know about the children's learning progress in an in-depth manner. It may cover the following: developmental status and learning progress of a child, interest of the child, strengths of the child, challenges and suggestions for improvement. Section 5th, parents' feedback. What is it? It is the feedback that is taken from the parents based on their child's performance over a period in different activities. It is to look at the certain behavioral changes that the parent might have observed in their children in their home environment. Key points: sheets may be given to the parent either via the student or during the PTA meetings at the end of each term to get feedback. Mention the date for each feedback. Explain why their feedback is served to the parent. Ask parents to write from their own perspective about how things have changed in their child. Ask parent parents to mention stories and anecdotes that the children share once they come back home. Ask parents to observe both positive changes and the areas of improvement for their children. Go through the answers and observations made by the parents. Compare it with the observations that you have made for the students and look for similarities and differences. Try to look for the reasons for the differences between home and classroom in discussion with the parents and suggest alternatives to address the same. Section 6. Self-assessment. What is it? It enables a child to be self-aware. It makes them understand how much they have progressed in all the activities. Key points to be filled in over a period of time based on observation and discussion with the children. For younger children, the teacher can fill in the sheet themselves after a discussion with the child based on the activities conducted. Observe the children during the activities and compare their answers to your observation. Section 7, peer assessment. What is it? It gives an understanding of the engagement level of the child in the activities when working in a group. Key points to be filled in over a period of time based on observation and discussions with the children. For younger children, the teacher can fill in the sheet themselves after an observation discussion based on the activities conducted. Observe the children during the activities and compare their answers to your observation. In case of peer assessment for younger children, it focuses on child's perspective, feeling about his or her classmate. This is not to be assessed with any specific developmental goals. Section 8, Portfolio. A portfolio is the collection of work done by students in various experiential and interdisciplinary tasks done in the class. It is compilation of child's work in the academic session term-wise and also a tool for assessing a variety of skills not usually testable in a single setting of the traditional written paper and the pencil test. Key points it should be focused on to promote techniques such as annotation, identification of keywords, topics, themes, summarization, and organization of ideas and contents. Evidence of the child's work and the worksheet should be included in it, which would help evaluate learners' progress. Teachers may paste pictures, various artworks like clay work, drawing, coloring, puppet making, model making, etc. The teachers may also paste pictures of the child while engaged in activities like playing a game, role play, dancing, etc. Documenting and analyzing children's responses for effective teaching learning. Assessment provide us several insights into children's learning. These insights helps to plan and design classroom pedagogies that is better aligned with children's needs and interest. A teacher needs to analyze and interpret the evidence for further learning, documenting and communicating assessment. Assessments are ongoing in the foundational stage. It is important to periodically aggregate, summarize, and analyze all the assessment during a term. The school should maintain a folder for each child. The folder will contain all the information about the child and the teacher's narrative summary for each term year. HPC should be used to communicate with the parents and families of the child in their learning journey. Analysis of evidence. Prerequisites for analyzing evidence. To be unbiased and open-minded towards the children they teach. To well-design and align assessment. To competencies at the foundational stage. To be formally and informally integrated through the course of the day in the classroom and out of the classroom activities. To have a system of collecting, documenting evidence of children's learning from various assessment. For example, observation, worksheets, network. Principles for analyzing evidence. To focus on what children know and can do for their assessment in a fair and accurate manner. To analyze evidence to judge the extent to which children have demonstrated understanding and acquisition of skills. Beginner, progressing, and proficient. To identify misconceptions of alternative conceptions. To identify gap in children's learning. To use multiple sources of evidence before making conclusion about a child's learning. Acting upon the analysis. To utilize the evidence gathered. To plan or alter instructions for meeting children's needs. Revise or practice skills not learned by most children. Restructure learning experiences through use of alternate teaching strategies and methods. To identify children who need support for specific competencies. Accordingly, give time and work with them to improve upon those competencies. Acting upon the evidences, eliciting evidences of child's learning, analyzing and interpreting the evidences. Role of principal and teachers. Role of principal. The most important role of principal is to create a supportive and empowering culture in a school. They have to create an ethos where teachers think and talk about teaching and learning of children. The principal will play a pivotal role in engaging and advocating the importance of the HPC to all the school stakeholders, including the school management. They are expected to attend orientation program regarding the scope and the objective of HPC, be in charge, support and oversee the entire HPC process, provide logistics support to teachers for the implementation of HPC, provide monitoring and guidance to teachers for the implementation of HPC, create space for parents to learn and participate in their child's overall development, create a smooth transition for children from preschool year to class 1, maintain HPC for each child and to make it easily accessible for parents, encourage teachers to use data to track progress towards achievements of the goal, giving particular attention to improvements that will support the child school's most vulnerable student. Role of teachers. Teachers are critical to improve the quality of learning and assist the child in just manner. All children learn by listening, watching, and connecting with the teacher in different ways. It becomes important for teachers to have pedagogic and autonomy to plan and organize content, decide the sequence and methods of teaching. Remember to take picture of activities and save them. Keep all the resources as and when activities happen. Ask students to save their art and craft work. Take feedback from parents periodically. Display patience and explain policy framework to parents whenever required. Fill in assessment sheets based on observations and discussion with the students over a period of time. Fill sheets for smaller students to take their inputs, peer and self-assessments after a discussion with the child. Encourage students to answer honestly on their own. Reflect and take notes immediately after an activity is over. Be open-minded and encourage students to think on their own. Be inclusive and supportive. Give freedom of expression to children. Give examples to initiate thinking among children. Be aware about the school context and the socio-cultural context of students while accessing them. Create opportunities in the classroom in the form of activities to observe competencies. Adopt, modify the most relevant LOs as per the requirement of the child. Keep an open eye on child's behavior and monitor the smallest of change that reflects meeting the competencies at any level. Assess the students with an open mindset, keeping the child's age and the special needs in mind. This is Anuj's prototype of holistic progress card foundational stage age group. This is Annexure 3 competencies. Competencies NCFS section 2.4. Competencies for each of the curricular goals have been defined in the section. These competencies are to be seen as guidelines for curriculum developers and should not be considered as prescriptive. The competencies have been numbered as C1, 1.1, C, 1.2, and so on. This is children develop habits that keep them healthy and safe. Then children develop sharpness in sensorial perceptions. Children develop fit and flexible body. Children develop emotional intelligence, that is the ability to understand and manage their own emotions and respond positively to social norms. Then children develop a positive attitude towards productive work and service for or seva. Children develop a positive regard for the natural environment around them. This is cognitive development. Children make sense of a world around through observation and logical thinking. Children develop mathematical understanding and abilities to recognize the world through quantities, shapes, and measures. Language and literacy development. Children develop effective communication skills for day-to-day interactions in 2 languages. Children develop fluency in reading and writing in language. Children begin to read and write in language too. Aesthetic and cultural development. Children develop abilities, sensibilities in visual and the performing arts and express their emotions through art in meaningful and the joyful way. Positive learning habits. Children develop habits of learning that allow them to engage actively in formal learning. Environments like a school classroom. This is an extra 4 sample of tools and methods. Observations, some illustrative pointers for observation during a few common pedagogical processes are given below. Storytelling, is the child getting involved in the story? Is the child describing the pictures? Is the child asking questions about different characters of the story? Is the child connecting personal experiences with the events of the story? Is the child recalling familiar words from the story? Is the child expressing likes or dislikes about the story? Guided observation, is the child listening to the others during circle time? Is the child waiting for their turn to speak? Is the child expressing their pleasure or displeasure while listening to others? Is the child able to predict what is going to happen? Play free, guided, or structured? Is the child solving simple problems? Is the child able to use large and small muscles to engage with play material? Is the child able to express different emotions? Is the child able to respond appropriately to the emotions of others? This is the sample of anecdotal record, sample of anecdotal observation record. Context, I teach a class of 4 to 5 years old. This is an observation I made, something that caught my attention while I was doing story time with my children. Name, Devi, age 4.5 years, date and time observation, sitting area, classroom, purpose of observation, emotional regulations, observation. I read the story. Rajesh hugs his sister to my class. Devi got agitated and pushed around the children sitting beside her. After the story reading, I asked the children to draw a picture of their family. Devi did this, but blackened out the boy in the picture using her crayons. I asked her about it, and she said, "That's my brother. I don't like him. He always teases me and takes my food. Mother and father like him." Interpretation, Devi seems to be having difficulty coping with her feelings for her brother. She now may not know how to communicate her feelings to her parents. This was affecting her behavior with other children too. Plan of action. Talk to Devi's parents about this. They may need to do few things at home, like making her brother and Devi play together, do some chores together, share food, and explicitly assure her how they love her equally. Give more attention to Devi's responses and attitudes in the class to her stories and role play involving characters, parents, or brothers. Observe and record progress. Sample of event sampling. Event sample observation record. Context. This was a class of 4 to 5 years old. I had given group work to my children and recorded my observation. This gave me useful insights for further action. Name of the children: Muthu, Chandri, Suryan, Karthik. Age group 4.5. Date and time, sitting area, creative activity, outdoor, purpose of the observation, children's group work. Description of the incident and interpretation. I had given them a task to work in small group of 3 to 4 and create a picture using twigs and leaves. They had to collect these from outside and then come in and finish the task. Muthu, Chandri, Suryan, and Karthik were in one group. Karthik touched the twigs and leaves but did not contribute towards completing the task. He ran around, disrupting other children. Chandri and Muthu cooperated with each other and created a tree model from the twigs and the leaves they collected. Suryan seems to enjoy the process but didn't contribute much. Now here interpretation, the children are at different levels. Karthik exhibits disruptive behavior, is not able to focus on the task. I will need to work with him on this. Suryan, while not disruptive, while needs support to demonstrate appropriate social behavior. Muthu and Chandri can work well in groups. Complete task. I was specifically concerned about Karthik's disruptive behavior. To understand it more, I decided to do a frequency sample observation of Karthik. For example, observing him every 5 minutes in a period of 30 minutes every alternate day and interrupting his behavior. How much time he is able to focus on a given task and understanding the cause of his behavior. I recorded this in a sample checklist format. I could then work on the solution along with the family, give him tasks based on interest, and appropriate him on completion of the appreciate him on completion of the task. Sample of artifacts. Sample of checklist. Here quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3. Listening and speaking. Emergent reading. Annexure 5 list of resources. Illustrate learning outcomes. The illustrative learning outcomes and learning trajectories over the 5 years in the foundational stage that lead to the achievement of the related competency. Learning outcomes, these learning outcomes are mapped to the competencies as mentioned in the NCFFS documents under different domain. Resources, few examples of daily. This has examples of the daily observation of the children based on the competencies like. This has been given on page number 281. Observation, participation in the activity, identifying letters with the pictures and hand balancing. Plan for Hindi language teaching. This include weekly plan for teachers for teaching Hindi language in the classroom. This has been given on 285 page number. That teacher-student relationship, Deepa's diary. This is to refer to the teacher's note and observation of her students in the classroom. It is a free-flowing structure and more like a reflection of a teacher in a context of the student behavior. It is given on 289. Teaching plan and the assessment. This is given on 290. Differentiated learning and the mathematics in grade 2. This is given on 301. Core team, Central Board of Secondary Education, HPC core team, all these names are given. Dream a Dream, other organization. This is all about HPC teacher guideline. I hope all of you have understood in detail about the HPC. Thank you. Thanks a lot for watching my channel. Keep updating yourself.